Good morning. This is the 21st of May 2020. It's about 6:30 in the morning, early, and I'm on Twilight Trail in Parcel 12. And what you're looking at is a piano keyboard. The analogy is every one of those lots that you see is a key on a piano keyboard as you come down the street. And each lot and each house has to be in tuned. And what I mean by in tune is it has to have at least the gravity or the geometry difference of the finished floor elevation not going below the stated finished floor elevation on the master document for the community. Every one of these lots, before any house was ever built on them, the finished floor elevation, the finished floor elevation for the lot was calculated 17, 18 years ago for every lot, and its reference was the sewer pipe. As the sewer pipe goes down the street, every house has to have gravity to get to that sewer pipe. And proper gravity, every one of those houses come down the street, I haven't seen their permit to build a house, but the permit tells what the finished elevation of the finished floor elevation of the as-built house is on the permit. Okay, I assume every house coming down the street has a proper permit, but as we get closer, I just want to let you know, I know for certain that that house is 2 inches below what the community document called for 17 years ago. And this house that I bought, these were the first two houses bought. These were the first 2 lots. These were the first two pads that were laid, were right here. The first 2 pads in this neighborhood of 60 plus houses, the first 2 that were laid was that house and this house. That house, by my measurement and my calculation, is 2 inches lower than the master document, and this one for sure is 3 inches lower. I know it's 3 inches lower because I've measured it with a water level and I have the permit, and when you do the math on the permit and extrapolate it out on the permit, it's 3 inches low. So they purposely made this lot 3 inches low, so the tuning of the sewer pipes is out of tune for both of these houses. In other words, they sold me a knockoff. They sold me a knockoff house. They sold me a house that didn't meet all the specs. Then one of the most important spec is the sewage, because the sewage is a passive system. It relies on gravity. Without the proper gravity, head pressure, whatever you want to call it, geometry, it doesn't work. And what you've done to me is you put sand in my saddle. I've been handicapped now for ever since I've been here with faulty sewer pipes that are out of compliance with the master document. This house sits 3 inches low. I've had to do all kinds of work on the yards, regrading, resculpting, putting condoms. Now I'm going to go over and we're going to talk about this condom, the third application of a condom on my lot. And I hate to use those terms, but that's exactly what I have to do. Since this house is 3 inches lower than this house, and they're supposed to be exactly the same height, all the water, when it would rain, would migrate over here. And then they put a berm between me and that lighthouse out there, a berm between my patios and the golf course. They engineered a shadow, redneck, homegrown retention basin up on these lots. This was homegrown engineering, redneck, white trash, whatever you want to call it, knuckle dragging, one-eyed ape engineering that they destroyed an emergency system. Tract A is for emergency overflow of water. It is drain relief for this corner. And they purposely, when they found out they had $30,000 of my money and I couldn't get my money back, they had leverage on me. For me to walk away from the deal, I would have had to walk away from $30,000, but I didn't know about it. They never disclosed to me that they went outside of the standard for the community by lowering my house. It was never disclosed to me. Now I'm having trouble. There isn't one realtor in Buckeye, once I explained to him what happened, wants to take this listing. Because I insist on being honest. The dishonesty in this corner has to stop. Okay? Tract A doesn't drain. It's a retention basin up here that's been installed. It was a cob job after it got written up by Woody Skelton. Okay? But to tell you what I did, what you're looking at here, all that packed stuff is packed. 5 years ago, I was on my hands and knees with a level. On my hands and knees with a level, going 6 inches at a time, all the way down this wall, building up, putting a bank up against this wall to make the water settle in the middle. And then I regraded all this. This, what you're looking at, is a condom. This is the 3rd condom, and I've got more. Now, I put this plastic down 6 years ago. And about 1.5 years ago, I put that down. Now I got to do it again because the last rain we had on the 13th of March was a 3rd day of a 3-day rainstorm, and it was very intense, and I had lakes everywhere. I had a lake right here. I had a lake there. I had lakes all over my lot because of what was the dishonesty that was visited on me 17 years ago when they decided to lower this house. That patio right there you're looking at, on paper, is supposed to be exactly the same elevation as that patio. Go get your laser levels. I've got water levels. There's a 3-inch difference. And when you take the mathematical figure, the figure that's on the permit, and check the difference between that and the figure that's on the master plan for the neighborhood, there's a 3-inch difference when you do the math. It's 3 inches, period. You sold me a knockoff. You did it on purpose. You did a little white-collar crime, a little pushing the pencil, a paper acquisition. It fell off the truck, skim, looting, whatever you want to call it. You captured that lady's tee box, and you dedicated everything up in this corner to protect the lady's tee box from runoff. That's why you put a berm across my lot. Between me and that swing set and that lighthouse was a berm that was higher than both of these patios. When we'd get an intense rainstorm, I would have a lake around this patio, 4 feet wide, because it was the lowest patio. My neighbor's patio is 1 inch higher than mine. That house over here is 1 inch higher than mine. And these are the levels. You see these? Let me show you how this works. These are 7 years old. I built these 7 years ago to do that work, and I have 3 of them, all different lengths. But, show you what I did. Alright, you'll see the bubble is well past the left line. Okay, and that's how I go. So I know I've got positive flow down to the middle. It didn't happen. The bubble went the other way until this is all dirt, sand that I brought in here on my hands and knees. Screeding on my hands and knees according to the bubble, and then I would come over with water and a tamper. It took me all summer long. All my neighbors saw me doing it. I have to do it again. You know why? Because I didn't do it right. That last storm we got on the 13th, I had lakes everywhere on my property. I'm trying to fix it. Now, those tarps that you saw inside, I'll go in and see him again. But I'm going to be taking this tarp up. It's going down again. I'll salvage what I can of that plastic. It's going down again. I've got 2 or 3 brand new tarps that I have in the garage that once I get this all sculpted again to where everything is by the level, I'm going to take my time and do it. So please, don't send me any letters. The reason I have to do all this work and the reason my yard is all tore up is because this house is out of compliance with the master document. Okay? These redneck engineers, these home growers sold me a knockoff house 17 years ago, and they figured nobody will ever figure this out. Nobody will ever figure this out. How could he ever figure it out? I'll tell you how I figured it out. The first thing I did was bring a surveyor over here. And the first thing the surveyor did after looking, he said, they made you it. I've seen it before. I said, what are you talking about? He said, they made you it. All the water I can see by eye, all the water comes to right here on your lot. They're using your lot to store water in a storm. And he told me to go get the community plans, Freedom of Information Act, and I went downtown Buckeye and I got all the plans, the roof plans, all the master documents for this community. And then one thing it says is this house is 3 inches out of compliance with the master document. The permit, whoever signed the permit and whoever applied for the permit lowered this house on purpose 3 inches, which affected the sewer pipe. The sewer pipes are permanently and forever out of compliance with the master document. I have to live with this. I have to live with this. I've been to the lawyers. The lawyer said it's going to cost you $200,000 to fix this if you do it alone. And to fix track day, to get track day back in compliance as an access easement for golf carts, an emergency access easement, to get it draining properly. The only way you're going to get track day to drain properly is get rid of the ladies' tee box. Restore everything the way it was when it was planned out in Phoenix 18 years ago. It got out here and it simply, the people in Buckeye said, this plan doesn't work for us, for this corner. We've got a couple of gentlemen or a couple of friends up there that we want to give those 2 big lots on each side of track day to, exclusively. They're going to be theirs. We're going to take it out of service. And we're going to lower Mr. Lasham's house because we've got $30,000 of his money. He's not one of us. He's from California. He's not a townie. We feed on California. That's what Californians were made for, so that people in Buckeye could feed on them. Okay? Well, they fed on me. They drafted me. When they took that plan, that permit, and lowered my house 3 inches, it's the same as being drafted forever and ever. I was drafted by the civil engineers here in Buckeye, the redneck, white trash skank engineers here in Buckeye that decided that they were going to make me pay for the rest of the time I owned this house by being the surface water bitch, and also my sewer pipes are going to be out of compliance forever and ever. So if I ever have to call Roto-Rooter, and that's why I insist on telling any new buyer that if you ever have problems with your sewer, send a bill to the town of Buckeye or the city of Buckeye Water Department. Because they're the ones that are charging you the bill for the sewer pipes, and the sewer pipes were built out of compliance on purpose 18 years ago to satisfy some local idiots out here that were going to do a land grab. That's all this is. It's a land grab. It's a Buckeye land grab. It's these golf pros out here, the golf gods, that think that golf is more important than anything else, and we're going to grab some land. That's exactly what happened. So, please don't send me any letters, because I'm going to keep putting this on YouTube, and eventually some lawyer is going to feel sorry. If it's not a lawyer, maybe it'll be an investigative reporter that got his ass kicked out here in Buckeye because he came out and asked the mayor something one day. He probably got a police escort out of town and was told never come back. I can imagine that happening because I live in Buckeye, okay? But I'll stop for now. Like I said, this is the 21st of May, 2020. This is the mess I'm into. It's my third application of a condom and resculpturing this property here to get the water off of it. And the reason I have to do it is because of the dishonesty that was laid on me by a bunch of skank engineers out here, some homegrown rednecks, stars and bars waving rednecks that saw me as a Californian and who had given them $30,000. He can't back out. We got him. We'll teach those Californians. We'll fix them. Yeah. Well, I'm not only a Californian, I'm a New Yorker, and I know what the plat map says. The plat map for this and the documents for this community says this house is supposed to be 3 inches higher, and it's not. And nobody will let me explain. When I go downtown, I go to the second floor where all the engineers are. They won't let me talk to an engineer until I give them my name. And as soon as I give them my name, nobody will come out and talk to me. I've been kicked out of the HOA because the HOA officially, from me, hasn't been notified about this on paper. I've done it in videos, but they fall back on their mantra, we don't have time to look at your videos. Put it on paper and have me make a fool out of myself trying to document this on paper. Whoever puts this on paper has to be a lawyer that's an expert in construction fraud, because this is what it is. This was construction fraud. And as far as being damaged, the fact that I've been trying to sell it for 4 years and no realtor or Buckeye will take the listing unless I withhold the fact that this house is built wrong. Unless I let the guy think that he's buying a really good house that's not a knockoff, they won't list it for me. And their rationale is, it's been this way for so long, why do you want to start trouble? Why do you want to start trouble? And it's the same with Tract A. Tract A does not agree with the plat map. It's out of compliance with the plat map. There's nothing on the plat map that says there should be a sign saying no golf carts when other access easements in the community allow golf carts. This is dispensation for this corner and parcel 12. And the dispensation is to keep the people who bought on each side of Tract A happy. These aren't New Yorkers that are used to dealing with rubbing elbows. These are people that when they come from the Midwest, they come from a farm. They don't have golf carts going by their patio on their farm, and they don't want to see them here, even though they bought in an urban model. This was an urban model set up for urban living. We were all members of the community. Everything, all the properties in common were to have access to. And that access on Tract A was sold to me on paper and in person as the way I was going to get on and off the golf course if I bought this house. There was a cart path going from the tee box up to parcel 12 on the day that I signed the papers. And a lot of people who bought, they had that cart path going up there for probably a year and a half, 2 years. So everybody that bought, when they bought, they thought, well, gee, that's how I'm going to get out. It isn't until they take possession of the house that some concentration camp SS officer, female SS officer, come dancing up in her high heels, clicking the tile floor all the way with her nice blue blazer on, and looks down at you and says, you're going to use the coach lab. That lab is out of service. And what I'm talking about lab is I bought these lots with the expectation that 40 feet away from my lots would be a cart path onto the golf course. On the day that I bought the lots, that was all filled in with trees, shrubs, and the cart path was taken out of service. And when I question anybody about it, they says you have to use the public. You have to go back to the coach lab. Even though you got a first class seat right here on the lake, facing the lake on the signature hole, we're not going to we took that mod. We did a mod 17 years ago. We did a cost-cutting mod, and a friend we set up an entitlement for the golf course with the ladies' tee They get a brand new ladies' tee with irrigation and everything. And the people on each side of track day get a tax-free, maintenance-free, water-free green belt botanical garden between their houses that's totally private. Totally private, all to themselves. But the plat map says it isn't supposed to be totally private. The plat map says it's supposed to be a drain, an access easement. I was the first one to try to use it. I used it 5 days in a row, and on the 5th day I got arrested. I got arrested for missing a court date that I never got served on. After spending 4 days and 3 nights in the 4th Avenue jail with Joe Arpaio's 4th Avenue jail, when I got out and got in court in Buckeye, downtown Buckeye, this judge called Michael Lester holds up my summons. I told him, I said, I never knew about a court date. Well, you were arrested for missing a court date, assault. I never knew about a court date. He goes, of course you didn't. Here's your summons. Well, how can you arrest me for missing a court date? This is Buckeye. We can do whatever we want. Okay? The ends justify the means. It's no different than what Flynn, everybody's crying about what the FBI did to Flynn, that they entrapped him. How about what you did to me here in Buckeye? You arrested me on a warrant that I never got served on. I got a video of a policeman telling a private citizen until any paperwork is served, it's illegal. It isn't legal until the person gets served. I would assume that any warrant or any summons for a court until I get served, how can you arrest me for it? That's exactly what happened, and nobody, Craig Hustis, the mayor, Charlie Waters, the HOA, all my neighbors, even my friends and family, said you brought it on yourself. You rattled their cage. You went after corporate America. You deserve what you got. Well, I might have done all that rhetoric might be true, but I'll tell you one thing is fact. This house is out of compliance with the master plan, the blueprint for the neighborhood. It was done on purpose by a bunch of rednecks out here, okay? A bunch of Dukes of Hazzards. The Dukes of Hazzard, if you want to, this is Mayberry, this is the set of Hee Haw, you name it. This is Wild, Wild West, primitive. Primitive. No oversight. We make our own rules, okay? Everything out here is tribal knowledge. This is what the tribal knowledge was. There was a core group in the builders and the HOA that knew this all along. That for 8 years I sent in my dues, and they were laughing, slapping their knee, laughing that they said, he don't know. We fooled him. He hasn't got a clue what we did to him. That went on for years. Well, now I know. I know what you did, and I'm going to keep making videos and posting them. Thank you very much. This is for my neighbors and anybody that's thinking about buying in an HOA. Believe me, don't get on their bad side. Once you raise your voice or stick your head out of a hole, they have to shut you up. And they'll do anything to pacify you and silence you. They'll ruin your house. They'll ruin your civil record. Anything they can do. And when they go to an executive session, that's a lodge meeting, where they can go in and blackball whoever they want, anonymously, with impunity. Nobody's going to say anything. If they keep the secret, they all keep the secret. It's done. It's a lodge meeting. It is an executive session. They go in and they look at your life. They look at how much money you got in the bank, if you've got any bills outstanding, if you're in bankruptcy, if you're financial trouble. They look at your health records. Is he on the way out? And I'm sure they look at my police record. I never had a police record until I got the Buckeye. At 64 years old, I first got my first conviction with a police record for assault because a golfer walked onto my property, trespassed. I escorted him off. He turned around and charged me. I had to tackle him to get him off me. But He had the golf course on his side. He's got the HOA on his side. He's got the police department on his side. I'm a problem because I want track day back. I don't have a golf cart. I never will buy a golf cart. I'll never buy a round of golf here, ever. And I'll never invite anybody here to play golf here. That's something up until when I found out what happened and what the golf course did years ago. And it isn't the current management of the golf course. You guys had nothing to do with it. It's the old guys. But I want you to know what happened. So if I act like if I got a sour puss when the police come up to my door, and that's another thing. I keep this video camera right in the window by my front door. Any policeman that come up to my house, unless he's got a warrant to pull me out of my house, is going to be talking to this camera through the screen. Okay? Unless he has a warrant that says you have to leave your house and come out, he's going to be talking to me with us through the screen. Okay? But this is what I deal with, and now all my time for the rest of the summer is it's got to be right. And if it isn't right, I'm not going to finish it. So from here to the street, all this rock is going to go through that sifter. All this rock is going to go through that sifter as I moved and sculpt toward the sidewalk. So please don't send me any letters because I'm going to start sending all this information to the lawyers. I've been hoping that there would be an adult on the board, some adult that would understand the implications here of what took place with this non-compliance of this house. Okay? I can't afford right now to go get a lawyer on my own. I don't have Donald Trump's money and connections. Okay? But someday, some lawyer may want to look into this, or an investigative reporter. There's a lot more to come. Thank you for your time.